So, looks like we have 29 minutes left. So, hey everyone, happy ETHDam. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you're taking things seriously and not too seriously. Welcome to the wallets panel. And has everyone in here used a wallet before? Raise your hand if you have never used a wallet. Raise your hand if you have used crypto but never used a wallet. Exactly. So this is why you all should be here for this panel. So I have some talking points, by the way, but we're going to kind of go with the flow if that's all right with everyone. Why don't you guys just go down from proximity and introduce yourselves? Paul, you first.
Hi, everyone. Mic check. Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Puey, CEO and co-founder of Edge. As you know, this is a wallet panel. We are a self-custody wallet, although as we'll kind of talk about a little later, I've started to really hate that term because it doesn't really tell what an application does. Since there's many things that in the crypto world a self-custody app could do. But yeah, I've been in the space now for about 11 years and been building for about 10. And both excited about what the space has become, but also very surprised relative to what it was in the early days of just kind of Bitcoin. So that's where I'm at.
Hello, everyone. This is Sami. Happy to be here as a Amsterdamer for several years already, so great to be here on the stage. So working as a head of marketing at Trust Wallet. If you don't happen to know what is Trust Wallet, it's one of the most trusted and secure Web3 wallet and crypto wallet and Web3 gateway. We have more than 80 million users globally so far. Trust Wallet was founded in 2017 as the first mobile self-custody multi-chain wallet, and excited to be here to speak about security and privacy as well. One of the recognition is the ISO certification, which we received earlier this year as one of the first self-custody wallets. So great to chat today with our fellow wallet teammates here.
Hey guys, okay, it's working. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of xDEFi Wallet. We were the first multi-chain wallet extension. Yeah, we've been here for a little while. We're now the wallet that supports the most chains out there, and really proud of it. And a lot of stuff will happen later next year, but I'm going to touch on that during the panel.
Absolutely. And personally, I'm a user of 2 out of the 3. I need to download Trust Wallet, but hopefully by the end of the conference, I'll have some feedback for you. Yeah, so real quick, this was a suggested point. What role do crypto and Web3 wallets play in 2024? And so this is a very open-ended question, obviously, but crypto and Web3 wallets, what kind of role do they play? Anyone got any thoughts on this? Anyone want to go first? It's kind of an open-ended one.
Yeah, happy to go. Well, I guess, so most of the people in the world that are holding crypto are not onboarded yet in self-custody. They're using like centralized venue, whether it's like a centralized exchange or some sort of centralized venue such as Transact apps, Robinhood, whatever it is. So as a self-custody wallet, you essentially the very first interface that you're going to interact with as a user before you even like think about interacting with Uniswap or any other dApps, right? So our role is somehow to make the onboarding of the people that are jumping into on-chain activities. And that's a lot of responsibilities, obviously, from a security standpoint, but also from a UX perspective. So I would say that like this is a critical piece of infrastructure, probably one of the most important piece of infrastructure when it comes to a blockchain technology, which is somehow like probably not as loved as other part of our space. And I was like actually upstairs, and I heard like the previous panel with why the wallet sucks. Plenty of reasons for that, and we can go through them, which I don't think is completely true either. But yeah, I think it's an essential piece of infrastructure, right? Like we're the first thing, we're the gateway to crypto. So I think it's pretty important.
Cool. Who's next?
Yeah, if I build on what Emile was saying, like you said, centralized exchanges are the entry point for many users. Then when you know what has happened in the past year, for example, in case of FTX and a few other players, you know, and you have heard this, for example, during the previous panel as well, not your keys, not your crypto. So that is unfortunately, there has been situation where the users needed to learn the hard way, but at the same time, the industry knows, and it's a best education situation as well, that you really need to go to self-custody. If you want to mitigate your risks, self-custody is the true way for you to own your crypto. Obviously, then, if you speak about the user experience, again, like what Emile said, if I'm going to my, let's say, to my family or to my friends, and many of them say, like, so how does self-custody work? They understand the concept of it, your keys, your crypto, and then they say, like, so where do I put my email address and my password? What's this seed phrase thing here? And then the first thing they say, like, I actually don't trust myself. I cannot trust myself actually storing these seed phrases. What if I do lose it? Then obviously you will lose your keys. So I think we, as a wallet, we are in a critical phase to do the innovation to make sure that we will help users to trust themselves. In this case, we provide innovations when at self-custody, the security information is always stored at the user front, not at the provider side. And Trust Wallet, for example, just earlier this year, we introduced our smart wallet or account abstraction wallet called Swift Wallet, which basically ties the security information to users' passkeys. And that means that it's better user experience. They can trust themselves as long as they keep their iCloud or Google Drive passwords, passkeys safe. And then we can onboard the users. And finally, in many markets like Southeast Asia, they don't have even access to centralized exchanges to onboard to crypto Web3 in the first place. So those users will get the first touch point to self-custody automatically. And that's why the user experience, innovation, and the security and privacy aspects are critical to make sure that we can make it smooth and users can trust themselves.
I'm going to rephrase, I think, what some of my colleagues here mentioned as far as like exchanges and centralization. I think our mission of wallets, especially in 2024, is to end exchanges. Basically, get people completely off of them. And really the focus in how to do that is feel just like them. As opposed to training, there's a lot of people here, and no offense to the organizers of this conference because they're really big on education. I used to really be big on education in the early phase of crypto. I've actually thought that, ironically, it's kind of part of the name of our company, Edge, and we have this quote-unquote education blog, but I think we need to get away from focusing on that as the solution and instead simply deliver what people are already used to. But now in the wallet space, or what I prefer to say is the self-custody space, because everything's a wallet. Like Coinbase had a USD wallet, which is nothing more than a damn bank account. So in the self-custody space, we need to just simply make it feel familiar so that people don't have to ask the question or go to a workshop and take a half-hour course on how to use and get onboarded into crypto. They do what they would feel comfortable with if they were to go to a Kraken, a Coinbase, a Binance, or to a PayPal or a Venmo. That, I think, is our mission. Make it that familiar. Maybe it's not an email because we care about privacy, but it's the closest thing we can get in that familiarity space. And then we're able to onboard people and get them off all the centralized services.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of get people off exchanges talking point is a little bit on, it's a couple questions down, we'll kind of address that. But time to pivot into FUD, or rather, recently there was a proposed or passed piece of legislation in the EU that would add some extra challenges maybe to the crypto space and how they operate in terms of custody versus self-custody, anonymous accounts versus everything else. And obviously from like I read the piece of legislation. Most people probably haven't. Most people just see somewhere on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, that, oh, they're banning privacy. They're banning self-cut. There's some like general like ideas out there, right? And so, as annoying as it is to sort of address this kind of thing, do you guys want to kind of take a crack at it? Like, what's going on, and how does this affect you, and what are some of the challenges that this new regulatory landscape, in this one in particular, but also just across the world, right, moving forward, how do you kind of navigate that world? Who wants to go first?
I'll happily take this one, I think, because there's what you see from the reporters and then what the actual legislation says. And of course, then there's the third layer, which is what people are predicting the next level of compliance is going to require. So to the best of my knowledge and who we've talked to, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is that the transactions from a centralized custodial service to a self-custody address need to be KYC'd, meaning a custodian needs to know who it is sending money to, and that that address is owned by a specific person that they have personal information about. And so generally already true with a lot of exchanges, which are most of the custodial services. They're already KYCing users. So how do they actually prove, though, that when they send funds out to a self-custody wallet, that's the user's wallet? Now, ironically, this is something that actually our company's been dealing with for 6-ish years now, where we do an address proof. We just, in a way, it's kind of silly. We just simply sign with a private key a message that says we own this public key, which is this public address. And then that address goes to the exchange, and the exchange can say, okay, well, we have quote-unquote proof that this user owns the address, and we can now send funds to it. So the technology is there. It's been around for years, and it's more of a bit of a technical inconvenience that now all of the exchanges that you might interact with might need this proof. But the protocol's there. It's been baked into a handful of different wallets, including Edge. And so I don't think that that's a huge lift. It's just, once again, an inconvenience. The proposal that possibly they would ban self-custody to self-custody, it's not impossible. Countries could have draconian measures. But at the same time, they're probably realizing that that wouldn't end any of what they're actually concerned about from the viewpoint of illicit activity, because you could download a fully open source self-custody app, compile it yourself, and the illicit actors will probably go through that problem, go through that challenge of doing so. So once again, I'm not too concerned about the existing, best of my knowledge, restrictions that are getting in place, because a small technical update can actually fix that. And in a way, it actually makes me a little bit happy. I've never been happy about regulation. So this is one of those very, very few instances where I'm a little happy, because there is a class of custodian services that are not exchanges. They're fully custodial wallets, especially in like the Bitcoin Lightning space. There's a whole bunch of them. Those products are effectively dead. Like no one's going to be using those.
Fully agreed.
They would be fully dead under this kind of regulation, because they would have to KYC whatever entity it sends funds out to, which means you can only send funds to yourself. So in a way, it is going to drive people to the self-custody solutions from the viewpoint of being able to just simply send and receive.
And I fully agree with you on the fact that, like, if you're a custodial service, you should be regulated as a bank is. There is no reason why not. So I think it does make sense. Ultimately, like, it was only like regarding like officially licensed crypto services that had basically now to report on big transactions. I mean, that's nothing to do with like self-custody wallet being banned or anything that I've read on X or Twitter. I agree with you. I think in some sort of jurisdictions at some point or another, there will be like some regulations on self-hosted wallets. It's not just now. So let's see what happens. But I'm sure we all have, I know we all have like legal departments. We're all monitoring what's happening. Let's see what happens first. Probably going to be trust paying before anyone else.
Yeah, well, one thing, obviously not being any expert on the regulatory matters, but indeed right now it seems like the regulation proposal explicitly mentions that software wallets and hardware wallets are excluded. Self-custody to self-custody is not in the scope, but it's only basically when an operator is hosting a wallet, so basically centralized exchange in this case. So I don't see that really much is changing at this point, but obviously these FUD news, they are really attractive and getting a lot of interest there, but it's also a good opportunity to educate users. What I think always when there's regulatory changes, it's also a good way to increase the mass adoption. And Paul actually mentioned a really good example of what they have been doing. I think in the future, I would foresee, especially knowing that centralized exchanges are still critical on-ramp channel for people to join self-custody, there should be probably a standardized SOL-pound KYC token which allows the sending side to actually verify that there's actually a KYC completed. It matches the one in their own record. So I think it's really, really critical actually in the security and privacy field as well that there's going to be innovation. It increases the user experience. When user experience is good, users will go to self-custody. So that's my narrative today.
Nice. Yeah, in like a sentence, do all three of you think that this is actually, for your companies personally, good or bad for business or neutral? What do you think?
I think it's bad only because it just costs more engineering effort. And when I mentioned that one little benefit, it's just a little nugget. I think that if I had to say, you know, above or below 50%, you know, is it 50% above 50% good or bad? It's still below 50% good, so it's still net negative. But, you know, you try to see the silver lining. That's probably the best way for me to describe it, but still a net negative because it's inconvenience. We could be spending our time doing better things than creating these address proofs and changing APIs and, you know, integrations. So still net negative in my eyes.
From my point of view, I wouldn't necessarily assess it from our point of view. Obviously, I agree that any engineering resource you might want to put it in certain aspects, but I always take a look at it from user point of view. Is it beneficial for the users? If the option is that there would be unclarity for users to perform this, and we have an engineering solution to do it, I think it's good for majority of the users. That's how I would frame it. So if we can help users to come to self-custody, then it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm roughly aligned.
All right. So one thing, as Paul sort of alluded to with the whole ending centralized exchanges type thing, talk about DEX integrations. And as far as I know, for example, Thorchain is integrated across all three wallets currently. And there's a few other cross-chain protocols coming up. And so how do DEX integrations factor into the wallet roadmap in the future and right now?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one. Well, obviously, like we were the reference wallet from Thorchain, were incubated by them originally. So for us, it was like a priority to support like Thorchain itself. Ultimately, when we built the wallet, we built it in a really chain agnostic way, and we didn't just want to support like a large array of chains. We also like wanted to allow people to communicate between the different ecosystems that were integrated, and obviously like a solution such as Thorchain was really important. Now, when we first essentially built our routing API, there was no equivalent. There was Rango early on, but we were kind of already like more or less at the same like level of development. Since then, we basically built an aggregator with the routing API, right? So like we have like obviously Thorchain that was the first one being integrated, but then we also integrated 0x, Uniswap, 1inch, Socket, all the bridges that come with it. Osmosis, IBC transfer are integrated in it, and like we have MEV protection stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff coming into the routing API itself. So the idea is for the user to be able to go into the wallet, swap within an ecosystem any assets he wants to swap, bridge from an ecosystem to another any assets he wants to bridge, and not necessarily have to use 3 different wallets and interfaces to achieve the same thing. I'll give you an example. Like if you are currently like using like Phantom and you are trading meme coins or whatever you're doing, and using Base, that's great. Now there is Base, and we know that like there is DGen, motherfuckers, like all these different like shitcoins that are being created on Base. I want to go on Base. You have your Phantom. Base is not supported by Phantom. They don't have a custom RPC. You need a MetaMask. You need to download a new wallet. And since like Phantom is not going to allow you to bridge directly within the wallet to Base, you're going to need to interact with the third-party interface, and you suddenly have used like 3 different interfaces, 2 different wallets, and probably like put 15 clips into it. And also like you probably have met some issues like with funding a given address in gas before you can bridge. So that's kind of what we wanted to solve. On top of not having to deal with DApp transaction signing pop-ups and other things like that. So for us, it was very much like a huge focus. And we will continue developing our routing API to make it as performant as possible. And it's a lot of work. We're an interface, but a lot of the things happen in the back. And I love when Paul said like improving our API, because that's the kind of things we had to build ourselves, and I'm pretty sure Edge Wallet as well. I trust you guys have like a really stable wallet, and you too, like, and I'm really admirative of that. But when all of these wallets have been there for a while actually, and when we all started, API providers were not catering for the needs of multi-chain wallets, and we either had to combine like different APIs, which leads to several point of failures and an overall dev experience that is absolutely disgusting. And I think that like most of us like have worked on our own API indexes. So again, like we own the user interface, but as you said, with the routing API, there was a lot of stuff happening in the backend actually, and under the hood. to answer your question, yes.
Yes. Who else?
I think if you think about where does DEX integration factor into our product roadmap, I would always take it to the one step further. Like, if you think about we are now, I just speak about because now we're hopefully in the beginning of the next bull run, and you're expecting that the next billion users will come to self-custody as well. The first thing, if they would land to a wallet that you just see your balances, which are zero because you don't have anything, and the first thing you need to go to that browser, and these users never have been navigating in world of Web3. They're like, oh, so what do I do? They're like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Let me go back to the centralized exchange. But when we have been not only DEX integrations, but we have integrated on-ramp solutions, we have a bunch across globally different providers supporting different users, different on-ramp channels. Obviously, the DEX integrations are critical, so we support same chain swaps like 1inch and Thorchain like the rest of the wallets here as well. It's all about just making sure that they can meet their use cases. They can buy the crypto, they can swap the crypto, they can get into the world, and then when they get the comfort, like how self-custody works, they can actually hold and do actions. Then we open them and they can go to the full Web3 as well if they want. Another example of our success story, if I just can mention here, is that we just recently integrated the ETH staking with Kiln, and I cannot even remember the numbers right now, but we are one of the most TVL captured wallet together with Kiln. And that's the use case that we basically, in a matter of weeks, just went to, I think it's 20 million in ETH right now being staked. And the key is that users can just do basically one click. They have their ETH, they click on the home page that I want to stake my ETH. They confirm, they choose the node provider, and basically off they go. So this is the flow. Like, it's not only about the DEX integrations, but just providing the native solutions through the APIs that users can meet their use cases. And maybe later we still have time to speak about the security features we have integrated, but the same idea there as well.
So I'll pick off one of those concepts that I'll build on one of the concepts that was mentioned as far as the fiat on and off ramps. A lot of people get into crypto. That's the first thing that they need. They need to get into crypto. And the general integrations that we've seen over the past years are little to one-sided, meaning there's maybe buy support where people can purchase, and almost never is there sell support. We have focused on both sides almost entirely at Edge. But to build on that, if you think about when you go to an exchange, the experience is vastly different to the average wallet when you just simply want to trade. The first thing you do is you typically deposit. And then once you've deposited, then you can very quickly trade. And that's vastly different. In wallets, it's like you buy and you swap, which is a much slower operation, especially cross-chain. It also doesn't give you a lot of the different type of order features that a centralized exchange will give you, such as a limit order, or maybe even leverage, stop limit orders. So fundamentally, if we really want to end the exchanges, we have to go much, much faster in the order types, and we have to be able to provide the kind of order types that the true traders are looking for. And so once again, those stop limit orders, potentially a little bit of leverage as well, where possible. And the nice thing is that DeFi is really starting to allow for this. Early on, we couldn't. It was challenging just to go from Bitcoin to Ethereum. Now we can take, in fact, like tokenized Bitcoin or synthetic Bitcoin that might be created on a chain such as Thorchain, and quickly transfer that and create limit orders for it, and actually provide and create market orders and provide liquidity not via an AMM, but with order matching. So really, once we start to mirror a lot of the experience that you get out of a fully centralized exchange, we really broaden the market. And there's so much more liquidity to be had and transaction volume to be had once you start tapping into the more frequent traders, which by and large wallets don't really do. I think you guys could probably agree. We're not tapping into the more frequent traders. We're tapping into the, oh, I want to buy some, and a couple weeks later, my friend said I should get this token. All right, I go get it, and I sit on it for a while. And that's some liquidity, that's some transaction volume. But until you get to the people that are it's kind of like their side job to start trading, whether you call them the degens or not. They are providing liquidity to the system. Once you give them the features that they're looking for and the costs that they're looking for, now you've really exploded the use case of getting people off exchanges, providing liquidity to the DEXs, which really starts to steamroll the use of self-custody and really pull a lot of the liquidity off the centralized exchanges, which now transitions everybody. So that's what I'm excited to see, but it's a bit of a long road ahead, but I know what our target is. It's not just, let's provide a whole bunch of features. It's let's provide the features that really get people off the centralized solutions.
Yeah, well, let's look at some of the questions real quick. I did have one other, but I'll save that for last, the spicy question. But yeah, if you guys could put up some of the questions so far on the screen. I don't know if we can, oh, see some action upstairs. He's running for it. He's pressing buttons. Get my phone. There we go. So let me just look at this. So the top one here, use open source and reproducible wallets like Unstoppable Wallet. Trust Wallet is proprietary since Binance bought it in 2018. I don't trust it. Well, that's not a question. Show of hands, does everyone know what a question is? I'm just kidding.
I can make a comment on that one.
Yes, absolutely. Go for it.
True. Like there is some truth there. Let's put it that way. So yes, Trust Wallet was bought by Binance earlier. Our roots are in the Binance ecosystem. That's true. Nowadays we are a separated entity. But when it comes to open source, we actually when Victor, the founder, initially set up Trust Wallet, it was completely open source. But there was an issue there that suddenly there was like hundreds of Trust Wallets basically because it was open source, and that was really a tool for scammers to kind of lure in users. They thought that that's actually a legit Trust Wallet. So what we did there, we did the balance between that. Let's keep the key information open source. That's basically our wallet core. So that's basically where we have all of our private key security mechanism. That's fully open source. So anyone, whoever put the question here, you can go and check our GitHub repository. It's fully transparent from the beginning until now, and it's going to be completely open source. So we are never going to be closed on the wallet core side. So that will be there. But for the remaining, we just decided to do the best for the industry and best for the users, because if we were fully open source, we just saw that that's actually doing more damage for the user than any benefit. But wallet core will always maintain open source. Happy to chat with you afterwards as well. Let's take this offline, and I can assure you about the security aspects as well.
So I'll chime in with a bit of a different take. We're just about fully open source. You could compile Edge from our GitHub yourself and run it yourself. And so nothing is obscured. And from the viewpoint of protecting users, we've seen clones. And I don't know that closing source code prevents the clones, because they can still see what your app looks like and create one that looks by and large identical. No one's going to look at the real version and the fake version side by side to see if it's pixel perfect. So I will disagree with the statement that you close source to protect users from copycats, because it's very easy to copy a wallet even if you cannot see the source code, and that has been done. So we stay open source for that level of transparency and auditability. We think that's important in cryptocurrency space. Crypto was born out of that ethos, and so we're going to retain that.
Okay, let's hit on this one on top, and please keep me honest for time, right? So what do you think is the optional, I think they meant optimal, but what do you think is the optimal setup between cold and hot wallets? What benefits and risks do you see in integrations between both?
Sorry, I was playing a bit with it, and I think I turned it off. I couldn't turn it back on. So, I mean, look, as soon as you support a different type of hardware wallets, and you're also allowing people to create hot wallets, people can do whatever they want. We kind of always recommend for people that have a lot of funds and holding onto them for a long-term period to use a Ledger or Trezor with the wallet extension. I think it's important to mention that for people. But I know a lot of traders and degens that are not going to use a hardware wallet, because in terms of execution, it just takes more time, and they just want to use the hot wallet for that, and they move the funds around based on if for one day you're trading with the hot wallet, at the end of the day, whatever you do, you put it back in the hardware wallet. So I think you need to give both options to the users and let them use the way they want. Ultimately, but we need to cater for the needs from that standpoint as well. We've been working on an MPC-backed feature, so you'll be able to log in with your social logins into the wallet, which is debatable from a security point of view. Much better from a UX perspective. There was always a compromise to be found, between UX and security. Ultimately, as a wallet builder, I will always recommend people that have more than a few grants on a wallet to use a hardware wallet. I think goes without saying.
Yeah, cool. We have time for one more. Are we good? All right, so I'll take executive privilege for the last one, referencing the previous panel about. Is that mine?
Do you want this one?
Mic check.
Mine's working. All right. Centralization, guys. All right. So referencing, there was a mention about the wallets suck. And so the question is, why do the wallets today suck? Or do they? And you have the one that works? This one works.
Yeah. So they suck because they are, by and large, not what you've ever used before. And I think that difference in change effectively creates that alienation. And probably the biggest challenge in wallets that I'm seeing in the industry is that no matter what you do, it's going to be different for one of two categories of people. You build one that does a lot of this abstraction and hides the keys, you'll piss off the people that have been giving you 30-minute how-tos and educational content on how to write down 24 words and put it in a secure place or etch it into steel. Those people are going to be upset and say that this is a piece of garbage. And then if you build a thing that's write down 24 words or etch it into a piece of steel, then you're going to alienate all the people that are used to Venmo. So no matter what you do, the wallet's going to suck. And this actually has roots in history in personal computers, in that the original mass-adopted personal computer, being the Apple II, required you to put a disk into the drive, type commands on a text-only screen to launch a program, which might not run unless you open the box and upgrade the hardware. And there were full hour-long classes on how to use a personal computer. And then the Macintosh came out, and suddenly you could click on an icon, but you couldn't see the command line anymore. You couldn't upgrade the computer, and people said, no, don't ever buy this thing because you're going to have to run a program there, and you'll need to upgrade it, and there won't be enough memory. And so computers sucked. And I think that's the phase we're in with cryptocurrencies. You're going to piss off somebody, and you just don't know who it is that you're going to piss off with whatever you build. So that's a challenge. And I invite people to try to see the Macintosh alternatives as opposed to latching on to the Apple IIs.
My addition to that one is that, or if I summarize, the key is the user experience. Yes, it's not as good as it could be, but it's much better than a few years ago. Basically, I would just like that it's like my grandma could basically just log in and feel comfortable. She's using anyway already a tablet to have Skype calls, so I would like that. It's in a level that she could use it, set up her wallet, and basically get started. Secondly, I think the security is non-negotiable. So basically, it means that if anyone is scrolling the crypto Twitter and they see there's a lot of airdrop opportunities, if they accidentally click any scam links, we need to have across all of the wallet security measures in place that they don't accidentally sign any smart contract approvals, that their wallets would be trained. So we just need to make sure that we have all of these foundations in place. Like for example, Trust Wallet has security scanner, which does this already, but we need to make sure that users will feel safe that whenever they are navigating in world of Web3, they are fully secure. But getting started, feeling secure thereafter, those are the two key points.
Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm sorry, we gotta keep going. Also, you broke all the mics, so I gotta kick you off stage.
Sorry, I broke the panel last time.
Thank you so much again for this.